What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr War Games, and today I am bringing you an update to zombies. Now, zombies are incredibly fun right now, and they've definitely got a nice little engine that really helps them out. Spoiler, I am playing a very small punk engine. The reason I haven't titled this zombie punk or anything is for the pure fact that technically I'm only playing 3 punk monsters and then 3 E-Telly which can be utilised in the rest of the deck. If you want to class it as a punk zombie deck, then by all means please do so. But what the punks add to the deck themselves is it gives them the ability to mill up to 9 cards, and it gives it access to probably one of the best mill cards in the game right now in Chaos Ruler. With all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. With all of that out of the way, we're going to dive head first into the zombie profile. So we start off with triple Uni Zombie. Now this is probably your main zombie starter. The issue is in this particular version, unlike in a pure version where you're going to be using Shiranui, the Shiranui can actually give you the ability to do a 1-card play, but it obviously got its hit by so many different hand traps. With the Uni Zombie, the best thing about it is the ability to send from the hand or from the deck, which allows you to control what zombie cards you're going to be sending. Considering we have so many zombie cards like Mizuki, Necro or Banshee, the Changxing, the Doom King, Balderok, Glark Boom, Gozuki, you name it. There's so many different cards that you actually want to send. It's really nice to have that ability to control. And the reason we've got 3 of this is because, again, I wanted to keep it more zombie orientated than punk. If you want to do it the other way around, then you turn your starter from being Uni Zombie into your punk. The other difference is as well, and what the punks provide this, is by going through Chaos Ruler, you can do that without even conducting your normal summon. So the mills, where you get to add a light or dark, will actually give you access to the Uni Zombie, and off the back of that, that will then give you the ability to start controlling your graveyard, and you would have already stacked up a little bit more with more cards you've sent there. We then got triple Necro or Banshee. Like I said, the idea is that you want to be getting this off the mill of your Chaos Ruler or, of course, your Zombie. By doing so, this is going to set you up your Zombie world. Obviously, it's amazing going first because it can really hurt certain decks. When you look at stuff that need to be specifically worms in the form of Sword Souls, when you look at decks that need to tribute summon in the form of Flunderies, it really can be hugely damaging for your opponent to be locked under Zombie World, and not many people are actually maining main deck outs in the forms of stuff like Twin Twisters, Cosmic Cyclones, Lightning Storms, everything like that. So Banshee is incredibly powerful, incredibly useful, and like I said, the reason you're playing it at 3 is because you want to maximise the ability of getting it to the graveyard as much as possible. The fact that it's a quick effect to chain and then put Zombie World on the board is also incredibly important, and that's where you really will get the ability to, if you mill multiples, you set Zombie World up for your turn, and then if your opponent gets rid of that Zombie World, you've got the ability to do it again. We've then also got triple Mizuki. Again, this is a card you just want to mill. The fact that once you've got Zombie World on the board, anything in the graveyard or the field is treated as a zombie, gives you the ability to Mizuki back pretty much any of your cards. Not to mention that even just by Mizukiing back any of your natural zombies, it gives you access to multiple different levels that you're going to need for your Synchro summon plays. We've then got a lot of one-offs. We've got the Sperado. So this one is absolutely awesome. So during the main phase, you get to send a zombie monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. So again, it is a free Foolish Burial. If it is banished, you can banish 1 zombie monster from your hand, from your graveyard to special on this card, but place it at the bottom of the deck when it leaves the field. So it recycles itself, which is really nice. And you can control the banish of this with the Chaos Ruler, which makes it incredibly important. Obviously, the one Balderok. The idea is that this is less so reliant in this deck as a, like, you can use it as a free extender. There are times when you would mill this and then you can bring it back because there'll be a field spell on the board, or you Mizuki it back and then get to control the board that way. But it's also one of the ones that a lot of people will try and target at Zombie World. So it's a game 1 winner, but then in game 2 and 3, when they're starting to put in more back row hate, it's probably going to be resolving a lot less, and that's probably where you'd consider taking it out. And then got the one Glark Bloom. This is a little bit risky in this deck because if you do mill it off of Chaos Ruler, it will then be down to you whether you want to trigger it in order to search out a card, or if Zombie World is already on the board, trigger it to summon out one of your big zombie guys. Now the issue with that is it does lock you into zombies no matter which effect you choose to use, and milling it off of the Chaos Ruler can actually be quite redundant, because at that point you still have other plays to make that aren't zombie orientated, so you kind of don't want to be milling it, which is why you'd probably consider maybe taking it out. But the idea is that what you want to be doing is you want to be able to make your combo plays, set up everything you need, and then control the mill, again, by bringing back Uni Zombie off of the vampire, by normal summoning it, or anything like that. That's when you want to control the Glow Up Boom as one of your last things you do in order to set up your Border Rock, in order to set up your Chang-Chi, everything like that. Got the one Gozuki, obviously the brother of Mizuki, incredibly powerful again in this deck as well. Keep in mind that as well, is if this card is sent to the graveyard, you get to banish a zombie type monster from your graveyard, accept itself, and special summon a zombie monster from the hand. Hello. So that's where you're going to get even more consistency, and that's where the excavations of the Chaos Ruler and the Vampire are going to get very, very important. The one Mad Muller, again, if it's in the graveyard, you can target a level 6 or higher monster you control, reduce the level by 2, and if you do, special summon this card. Again, you're locked into zombies, but keep in mind what you're going to be going into more times than not will be your Immortal Dragon. And then that's where your Immortal Dragon will allow you to control what you send. And that's where you want your control plays being your Banshee and being your Glow Up Bloom, depending on what you need at what particular time. Then the ones that aren't zombies but might as well be is, of course, Fairy Tale Snow. So good to be able to excavate this, mill this, add this, do whatever you need to. Level 4 sometimes does come up for tuner synchro plays, but getting into the graveyard, banishing to trigger off some of your effects as well can be really, really important. The Strudo, again, a free dark that's going to be milled. This then gives you the access to get into your synchros. Yes, it's going to limit itself to what it can actually help synchro you into, but worst case scenario, it can get you into your level 10s. It can sometimes get you into your level 8s. Other than that, it can also get you into Halley Firebrax or any of your Link monsters. The one Jet Synchron, again, why is this card unbanned? I don't know, or limited to say the least. Incredibly good for this particular deck, so I'm going to abuse it as much as I possibly can. Again, controlled mill if you want to be summoning it off of Halley Firebrax or anything like that. The fact you can summon this off Halley Firebrax and turn it into full Dagda combo is absolutely bonkers. But we are in a society right now, and we definitely will be in a format with the Telements and the splites, where if you go first with this, Scythe Lock is probably one of your best friends, because they won't be able to play that, but you will, and then they won't be able to play. You'll be able to make your board and OTK the next turn. For the hand traps, I've gone with double Ogre, double Crow, and double Ash. You could arguably take the Ashes out for Veilers if you wanted to, but the reason I've gone with these is Ogre is another target that can be summoned off of the alternate E-Tellies once you've already gone through your Punk play. It can also act as a form of disruption on the board as well, which is really, really important. Not to mention the fact that these are lights and darts can be added or banished with Chaos Ruler as well. Then the last monsters we are playing is the Punk engine. So you've got the one Deer, the one Foxy, and the one Z. If you want to bump this up, you can. I've put it at the base minimum. Like I said, I still wanted this to be more zombie controlled and zombie orientated than, of course, Punk orientated, which is where I've tried to balance it up. If you really, really wanted to, because you don't heavily rely on your normal summon, you could cut 2 Uni Zombies down and go for the Brave package, because then what you're basically doing is a summon of a Chaos Ruler without conducting your normal summon can lead you into the ability of milling a Water Enchantress, which will give you a free token and an additional Omni Negate. Moving into the spells, we've got triple E-Telly alongside triple Pot of Prosperity. Now, this is where the money cards are coming in, because we also have triple Forbidden Droplet. If you don't have droplets, you can go with stuff like chalices, but the idea behind droplets is it will also let you send monsters, which can be very, very important to set up like Mizuki plays or anything else like that. The Prosperity is our main draw card in here to give us consistency, because what we want to be digging for is we want to be trying to get to an E-Telly as our main starter to let everything else trigger. Going second, obviously you can dig for a Droplet. It's rare that some people are actually stopping the Prosperity nowadays. Sometimes they do, but when they don't, that can open up a whole can of worms, because that's where you could get into a Droplet and then there's pretty much nothing your opponent can do. They'll know you've got it and you can just keep making your plays until you're forced to chain the Droplet. We've then got 2 Zombie World. This is a little bit risky, but again, that's where your controlled mills come into play. Now, the idea is that you want to be able to get one to the board before you activate the Chaos Ruler, or if you do activate the Chaos Ruler, you put it at a minimum chance as possible for milling both copies and going from there. The last of the ones is the one Foolish Burial, the one Call by the Grave, and the one Gold Sark. Now, the Gold Sark is more so in order to kind of trigger off certain elements, more so for the second, wherever she is, Chang-Chi Sparado. It will become more apparent if you were to put in the Zoa as well. So it's a card you could take out if you wanted to, or you could put the Zoa in and it make it a little bit more consistent because it gives you another free zombie on the board. It gives you more free access to some of your zombie plays as well. I just kind of didn't want to play 2 Sperado, but I wanted to be able to again control it as well. So I can banish this whenever I wanted to. And then start triggering more cards because Sperado is actually just such a crazy good card for the deck. It's mad. Called by the Grave and Foolish Burial, pretty straightforward and simple on that one. The Foolish Burial, send Mizukis, send your Sperado, send anything you might need to help your plays go off. And again, it's a card that can link the Adventure Engine if you wanted to put it in the deck as well. Moving on to the extra deck, we'll start with our high-level synchros, being, of course, Psychic and Punisher. It's just a game winner. It is your boss monster. We're not playing access code or anything like that, so this is your route to victory. We've got the one Baron the Third, pretty straightforward on that one. The one Red-Eyes Zombie. Now, obviously, if you don't have Baron, you can just rely a little bit more on this, and you can put in the Chi if you wanted to. But the idea is that there are some times where you can go with Baron as well, and I've literally just remembered that we are missing Artifact Scythe. So that is my mistake. Obviously you need to be playing Artifact Scythe, otherwise what's the point in playing the engine? So I've completely missed Scythe off of the list. What a fucking dipshit. Last of the 3 runoffs is the one Called by the Grave, the one Foolish Burial, and the one card that I forgot to show you in the Monster Zone, of course, Artifact Scythe. Now, obviously, it's not so great going second, but it is one of the cards that you win a dice roll. You look at a lot of decks right now, and it's either most unbreakable board ever, unless you've opened up Dark Ruler, Droplets, Evenlies, or it's I've got one way to stop the extra deck, and that can be very, very helpful against Splites, and of course, the Telements as well. So definitely want to be playing that. Then moving on to the extra deck, of course, we've got the power card in the form of Psychic and Punisher, alongside our Defender of Baron de Fleur. And when you become zombie locked, you do have the Red-Eyes Zombie Dragon. This card is still very, very cool. Now, keep in mind as well that if you have Zombie World on the board, all of your cards in the graveyard are technically zombies. So that will then give you the ability late game to recycle anything you might need. And again, that can become very, very important. I have got 3 level 8s. One is pretty straightforward in the form of the Chaos Ruler. Others are a little bit unconventional in the form of Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend and of course Cyframe Lord Omega. Now you can easily change them out. There are other targets. If you up the P.U.N.K engine, you're going to want to be putting in Rising Carp. But you also have the ability to put in more zombie orientators like the YUGIOH, the Vampire Fascinator. It's entirely up to you. But the reason I've went with these is I've got a way to win in time should my opponent be going a little bit too slow for comfort, should combos be taking a little bit too long, at least I've got a way to win in the main phase. Omega I still think is really, really cool and powerful how this can loop back the Mizukis and loop back your banish monsters and then also rip one from your opponent's hand, which can be very important depending on what you hit. Then got the one Immortal Dragon, again pretty much straightforward on this one. This card is so good. During the main phase you get to send a zombie monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, this card's level becomes the difference in the original levels of that monster and this one. So you can drop it by a 3, you can drop it by a 2, drop it by a 1 depending on what you're going to be sending. Keep in mind that it has to specifically send a zombie monster, but you do have such a range of levels that you can adapt this how and when you see fit. When your zombie monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in the graveyard, you get to special summon it back, but you banish it when it leaves the field. Only use each effect once per turn, so it gives you a nice little float effect as well, should you need it. TG1 the Magician, we all know why, because, you know, Hurley Firebrax, you have to play them. Like, it's just one of the ones, like, if you want to compete at the highest level, you want to make the deck as strong as you possibly can, this is one of the best routes to do it. Now, Hurley Firebrax is a little bit better, because it actually can utilise these zombies themselves. That's you can get, like, Glow Up Bloom, turn into a Border Rock, and everything like that. One Vampire Sucker, it does clash with the Prosperity for the draw effect. It's just one of them ones where you're forced to be locked into zombies that you make this, but again it is a flex spot, you could change it up should you want to. The one Avendred Saviour, I just think this is, like, I love the artwork, I love the lore of Avendred in general, but regardless of that, it is still a very powerful monster. The fact that it can send zombies during the damage step can be very, very helpful. It does make me consider wanting to play Froilin as well, but arguably I still think it's a really, really good card and a nice defensive card. If you want to change it up again, you've got a lot of flex spots in the extra deck for particularly these two. The Dagda, if you don't want to play that route, and you can go more Synchros, you can go Shiranuis, you can go whichever way you want. The one Link Karibo is basically in here for Christian Halley Firebrack, summon out Jet Synchron, turn Jet Synchron into Link Karibo, or Christian Halley Firebrack, summon out Glart Boom, turn it into Link Karibo, trigger effect, go from there. And the last two cards we've got is the one Zombie Vampire. Pretty straightforward on this one. I love the artwork, I love the card in general. I do feel that it is very, very risky. Yes, there is times where excavating the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck will show you what they are playing, which is very, very good. But that's also where you might want to combo this off with the Vampire Fascinator, because if Vampire Fascinator will let you target a zombie monster in your opponent's graveyard and revive it, which under Zombie World you've got pretty much everything you need. And then what you do is you can then go into the YUGIOH. But because we're not playing those 2 cards, that's where I have the room to play the other flex spots here. And then the final card is the Drago Necro Never Soul Dragon. This is only for the side deck when I put in Super Polys, for the pure fact that I feel that Super Poly are just such a great board breaker. And yes, my opponent is probably going to try and stop Zombie World, but there might be a point where my opponent's like, yeah, I don't care, put Zombie World on the board, like, I'll get rid of it later. And then you go, oh, cool. Change Super Poly, and then that's where you just get to wipe out their entire board and kind of play from there. It is a bit specific, and it is down to personal preference. So again, you've got flex spots so you can take out and change and adapt to whatever you see fit. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is that. I really love zombies. I like the way they play. I think they're incredibly powerful as well. I feel that this is more zombie orientated than some of the other lists that I have seen online that are more, hey look, we're playing like 6 zombies. But it's still incredibly powerful, and for while we have stuff like E-Telly at 3, while we have Jet Synchron at 1 as well, it is best advised to abuse the living heck out of those before they are banned, and pretty much will stay there for a decent period of time. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.